Traditions that are so important to the Aboriginals.
You wear what you want, so your clothes are daggy. An original view of the world through fresh eyes.
She walked hesitantly towards the menacing factory tower.
What Matters is a writing competition that gives school students an opportunity to say what matters to them in society today.
The premise was very simple and it's remained true right to the present. And that's simply that young people from years 5 to years 12 in New South Wales and ACT schools are invited to write in 400 to 600 words what matters to them.
Unmistakable outline of a harpoon gun was visible through the shroud of mist.
The light turns green, we walk. The light turns red, we stop.
The good news is that you don't know how great you can be, what you can accomplish, and what your potential is.
Be more outgoing, bolder, louder, more social, as if who they are is not enough.
What Matters is like taking the collective pulse of these young people with the ideas, thoughts and perceptions they offer differing from year to year.
This year we've had 3,500 entries and it seems to be without a cap just at the moment. The thing that impresses us and what seems to be happening is that young people are really taking to the opportunity to have people ask them what they think without it being mediated.
Every entry is read and marked, with the final decisions on winners, runners-up and an overall winner left in the hands of the judging panel of eminent writers and journalists.
We'll read every essay that comes in and we've got a fine judging panel of leading journalists like Andrew West and Julie Hare and writers like Jennifer Rowe who writes as Emily Rodder on the judging panel. So it's a very simple competition at one level but quite profound in terms of what these young people have to say.
Every year, a vast range of subjects are covered, from the personal to the global.
If we don't get taught our Indigenous language, future generations won't be able to learn them, and it's our generation that could revive languages and keep them alive.
I think people should follow that path because it's a good idea to listen to yourself, not anyone else.
I think that in our society where there's both introverts and extroverts, introverts should feel like they belong, that they have something to contribute, because they do have something to contribute.
There's a huge difference between teens and teens in Australia. And even though you may live in the same country, you may live in the same state, and you may be the same age, you still have considerable differences in your personality and how you grew up.
The iPhone was built by children like as young as me in factories, and they have to work for like 16 hours, which is like unimaginable. And I thought that was like a really good topic to write about.
I think it's really cruel to kill whales because they're really innocent. And I told it from the perspective of a baby whale because that lost its mother, because it gives us something to relate to, which is orphan children.
This ignorance really annoyed me because people base their decisions on mistruths, false assumptions, and I just thought that individual thought is important in a properly functioning society.
I chose to write about making a difference in society because I think everyone has the ability to make a difference, regardless of what they believe. I think it's all about finding a passion in something and then following that passion and making a difference in that area in society.
All 8 finalists are given the opportunity to hone their skills in a creative writing workshop before the awards ceremony.
What Matters is a unique competition in Australia because it gets thousands of children and young people from all over sending in what's important to them, and they know they've got a forum for it.
After the break, we meet all the students and hear what matters to them.
Human experiences.
Cramped and musty room.
And the gurgle of the shore.
Dark corner of my mind.
Introversion and extroversion.
Every society.
Blessed existence.
Basic health practices.
The What Matters writing competition has been running for 8 years, and this year there were over 3,500 entries. The judging panel selected one winner and runner-up from each age bracket, and all the finalists had their own unique message.
In the Year 5 to 6 category, it is Rebecca Chung of Abbotsleigh. The Inconvenient Truth.
9-year-old Zhao opened her eyes and glanced at the dark sky. She thought, probably 2 or 2:30 in the morning, considering the silence of the birds. Her 2 erksome brothers were still snoring. After putting on her threadbare trousers and torn shirt, she walked hesitantly towards the menacing factory tower. She sighed heavily as she reluctantly entered the dim room that she had been coming to for the last 6 months. Here she would spend an unimaginable 12 to 16 hours on sewing clothes in a cramped and musty room with 43 other girls. Forced by poverty to work, she receives a paltry wage, but it's never enough. It wasn't even worth an eighth of what she was really be getting. This is not a scene from a Hollywood movie or a blurb from Charles Dickens' novel Oliver Twist. Sadly, this is the reality that many children confront every day. Today, around the world, 126 million children like Zhao are being employed in factories, and according to UNICEF, there is an estimated 250 million children aged 5 to 14 in child labour worldwide. They work for many long hours, usually 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, under a dangerous and atrocious conditions.
And the winner in that category, Years 5-6, is Alexander Husarek from Lapstone Publc School. Language is the inventory of human experience.
Each morning in my home begins with a conversation between many people. Get out of bed. Hurry up. You're going to be late. Do I have to go today? Our language enables us to communicate our thoughts, our desires and our hopes. Language is the basis of my human experiences. It is the register of my days past, my present and the thoughts of my future. It is the record of my thoughts. Language connects me to the people around me, my family, my friends, and allows me to even connect with those people I do not know. But what happens when your language is lost? When your language is not kept alive or it has not been cultivated? What happens to those people's shared experiences? What happens to a community that can no longer connect or communicate in their Indigenous language with each other? Before the British invasion of 1788, there were over 250 Aboriginal languages spoken throughout Australia. That number has dramatically declined by half. That is over 120 communities that no longer have an inventory of their shared human experiences. 120 communities that have lost a significant part of their past and no longer have an oral history through storytelling or language. Of those remaining languages, many of them are critically endangered. The northern hairy-nosed wombat is also on the critically endangered list and seems to attract more attention than that of the Aboriginal languages that will soon become extinct.
Year 7-8 category runner-up is Natasha Langdon of Hurlstone Agricultural College. Truth to myself.
You wear the latest trend to impress your friends, so you're an attention seeker. Because of that, you wear what you want, so your clothes are daggy. You listen to only the most popular songs to avoid getting shunned, so your music is so mainstream. Because of that, you listen to your music you actually like, so your taste is horrible. You watch what everyone else is watching in fear of rejection, so you're a tryhard. Because of that, you watch your favourite show that no one else really likes, so you're weird. Popular society will never let you win. No matter what you do, someone somewhere will put it under the magnifying glass, chipping away at it with horrible remarks, and at the same time chipping away at your self-esteem. What matters to me is the courage to turn a blind eye to the perfectionist nature of society and instead do what you want to do without the weight of your reputation dragging you down. For some people, the courage to break away from conformity simply isn't there. They have believed all their life that they wouldn't be able to fit in without becoming what popular society demands. But the courage it takes to disregard the jeers and mocking calls of society is what matters to me. For me,
I don't believe how people can go to so much effort to impress other people, and sometimes completely forget who they really are. Last year, I realised that I had spent so much time getting other people to think I was better than I was, that I had almost completely lost my identity to the stereotype of girls my age.
And the winner in Year 7-8 category is Sheree Kuan of MLC School, The Voice of the Whale.
The pastel sunlight of breaking dawn washed over the waves that slid rock gently back and forth, sliding over each other like liquid silver. Somewhere in the silent caves of ocean, our voices reverberated as the hymn of a sapphire seas, tender as morning light. Our family of the whales was the soul of the ocean, but the serenity did not linger forever. Soon the throb of an approaching engine rumbled, the boat slicing through the blue water glass, and the unmistakable outline of a harpoon gun was visible through the shroud of mist. An arrow blasted out and pierced itself into the rubbery flesh of an unsuspecting minke whale, my mother. She gave a low moan as she nudged me away from the perilous water surface. But above us, a flat face peered down at us with unfeeling eyes so empty of warmth. His jutting out jaw curled into a sneer on his gaunt face as he adjusted the gun again. Boom! My mother struggled on to plunge down into the safety of the deep, but her energy sapped, and she was taken. A chain hauled her up, and I watched with terror-glazed eyes as she writhed on the deck, blood streaming out of her as the flat faces used the blades to gore and gouge her vulnerable body. The water was now red, a deep crimson red, full of life that was now exposed to the sharp cold sting of the bitter air that wafted outside the harmony of the depth of the ocean. The engine triggered again. I followed the ship for hours, calling out to her until my voice was hoarse, but there was no lilting answering lullaby. There was only blood.
The runner-up in Years 9-10 is Laura B. of North Sydney Girls High School, Solitude.
In my early primary school years, I spent much of my lunchtimes alone. For me, this wasn't a sad thing. I felt comfortable eating lunch alone, and while I had friends, I didn't feel the need to sit with them all the time. And yet, when we packed our bags and migrated to sunny Sydney, suddenly I was too quiet, too antisocial. Suddenly I was an oddity, a problem child. Healthy, happy children play with other children. They smile and laugh and talk and have fun together, enjoying each other's company. They did not spend their time journaling or reading. I did not fit into this definition of a healthy, happy child, and it was only several years later, when the weight of this shame and guilt was lifted, when I first read about introversion and extroversion, two sides of a single continuum that is biologically and genetically ingrained in us. While extroverts are energized by their external world, for example, surrounded by a large group of people at a party, introverts gain energy internally from being alone or with a few close friends, and find social interaction, particularly on a large scale, draining. I learned that it was okay that I didn't always feel the need to talk to people, or that I didn't smile all the time, or that I wasn't particularly exciting or dynamic. It was a relief. Yet, in our modern Western culture today, our society still continually favors, encourages, and rewards extroversion. At workplaces, ideas are brainstormed in groups, even though the best talker will not necessarily correlate with the best ideas. The ideal of an outgoing social person is so prevalent that we barely notice it because it has been internalized in us from a young age.
The winner in Year 9-10 category is Richard Tong of James Ruse Agricultural College, uniformly individual.
The light turns green, we walk. The light turns red, we stop. Like a pack of sheep, we wander through life, unquestioning in our actions, unthinking in our words. Our world is, and has always been, one of conformity. For centuries and on almost every continent, humans have obeyed, and indeed, the word everyman has a certain truth to it. Every society has an everyman, the epitome of the average citizen. Serfs, peasants, slaves, factory workers, housewives, and now the white-collared middle class. Even those precious few who attempt claims of individualities, hipsters and the like, are not quite able to capture its essence. Members of these countercultures have been so caught up in the narcissistic self-obsession which so defines the Western world today that what may have started out as an expression of individuality has morphed into just another excuse for the young, privileged, and fashionable to buy another wardrobe. Such a depiction brings to mind the famous scene in the life of Brian, where Brian stands at his window and tells his followers, "You are all individuals," only to have them chant back, "Yes, we are all individuals." Witty it may be, but, and not without irony, the members of Monty Python seem to have created something quite close to the truth. Indeed, much of history, support for the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany, and the British Empire, have shown us to have been influenced by the beliefs of the elite few. The dull masses, have been told what to do, will only blindly obey their orders.
And the runner-up in year 11-12 is Tamara Lennon of Trinity Catholic College, Lismore, making a difference.
Everyone has inside of her a piece of good news. The good news is that you don't know how great you can be, what you can accomplish, and what your potential is. In 1942, a 13-year-old girl fleeing persecution began to write a diary. Today, the words of Anne Frank have reached millions of people worldwide and have made a difference in society. Making a difference is about sharing yourself with the world, sharing your potential, your talent, and advocating for change. One can change the world with passion for equality and a belief in a better future. For making a difference means making it different. And this is what matters in society today. In the global community, gender inequality has led to an inequality within the health system. Today, more than 15 million women worldwide are living with HIV, and approximately 530,000 women die each year during pregnancy or childbirth. Numerous health and social factors combine to create a lower quality of life for women. In many societies, women are disadvantaged by discrimination and unequal access to information, care, and basic health practices. Worldwide, of the 1.3 billion poor, 70% are women. Poverty is an important barrier to break to move towards positive health outcomes for society. As global citizens, it is our duty to advocate for change, to improve society through the improvement of health. The area of health is a passion of mine. In my immersion to the Solomon Islands, I experienced first-hand gender inequality. I was confronted with the poor health services and opportunities offered to the communities. In living the life of the locals, my passion for social justice and equality intensified. I am determined to make a difference, to play my part in achieving health equity.
The winner of year 11-12 category is Amy Ma of Sefton High School, The Cost of Wealth.
Oftentimes, if you step back to gaze at the bigger picture, you miss the small, finer details, and in particular occasions, these are the most important perspectives of all. It is this that adolescents are able to provide, a different standpoint, an original view of the world through fresh eyes. We are able to hone in on the small-scale issues which makes a huge tear directly in our young lives. And what is more important to us during this critical stage of our being than what shapes our values, morals, and ethics? It may be difficult to face the simple reality that the lives of all children are mapped out based on their socio-economic factors, with little hope of being able to alter their fate. But just perhaps society miscalculated how a teenager lives in the 21st century. Perhaps the poor are rich in self-determination and independence. Perhaps the rich pay the real cost of wealth. The perfect word in this context would be influenza. In the book Too Safe for Their Own Good by Michael Ungar, PhD, he makes mention of the disease of affluence which plagues a portion of teenagers today. Society is under the impression that children from wealthy families will live a blessed existence because they are handed the best of everything. But more often than not, it is the lower class and middle class families who live in high context communities with strong networks of support to feed the self-growth and positive development of a child. Children from upper-class communities struggle to find vital support through their excessive wealth. Although the parents have provided for the physical needs of their child, they lack emotional support and frequently end up spoiling their children, in turn crippling their child's independence.
Next, we will join the finalists and their parents at the awards ceremony and find out who the overall winner is.
Human experiences.
Cramped and musty room
And the gurgle of the shore.
Dark corner of my mind.
Introversion and extroversion.
Every society,
A blessed existence.
Basic health practices.
The Whitlam Institute held the What Matters Awards ceremony at the historic Female Orphans School within the University of Western Sydney. Prime Minister Julia Gillard recently announced $7 million to complete the renovations to the oldest three-storey building in Australia as a permanent home for the Whitlam Institute.
I am delighted you have been to join us today. I hope to all of you who have competed in this competition, and teachers and parents who are here, this is a very important event for us and for the Whitlam Institute. It is a fun event, and thank you very much to all the competitors for writing so well, because I, and I know others, have really enjoyed reading the entries on what matters.
It's a great pleasure to be in the midst of such serious young writers. In fact, I'm proud to be in the company of people with such very obvious talent. It goes without saying that I want to congratulate the winners and the runners-up and those who've been highly commended. And if they were all here, I'd like to compliment all 3,500 of the people who entered the competition this year. Anyone who, like the Chancellor and like me, has read even a selection of the entries from this year, the largest crop of any year by far, would say, I'm sure, that these essays are a source of both inspiration and encouragement. But also, it's inspiring to know that you're as courageous as you are, to just say it the way you see it.
I was trying to think of an appropriate analogy for what I'm supposed to do. It's really like the Academy Awards. And this is not Grumman's Chinese Theatre in West Hollywood, but you can imagine, in some ways it is, because this is the most marvellous building. It's the oldest three-storey building in the country, as you may know.
It's a pleasure to be here at the University of Western Sydney, a university that has always been incredibly supportive of young people taking action on issues that matter to us. And I want to say congratulations to all of you who have written such amazing pieces, such powerful and moving and beautifully written pieces about the things that matter to you.
What matters to me about the What Matters isn't just about the prize winners, it's about the sense of community. 3,500 people all around sending their ideas about what's important to them into the one place. It's about the idea that writing is not something that you hand into a teacher and get back with a mark on it. It's about communicating with an audience.
School prizes from competition sponsor Officeworks were also presented to 5 schools for their participation.
We're very honoured to support an initiative that allows young people to tell the world about what's important to them in a creative and thoughtful way. I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate all the students and schools who took part in the competition. As well as the prizes being awarded for the students, participating schools went into a draw to win a $1,000 Officeworks gift card, which can be used on our range of technology equipment, furniture and other related office equipment. So without further delay, on behalf of our team at Officeworks, I'd like to congratulate the following schools. Castle Hill High School, Leichhardt Public School, Cheltenham Primary School, Colleton Public School.
This exciting day culminates with the announcement of the overall winner. The winner is selected by the panel for their outstanding work.
There's an overall winner who is unknown at this point, who receives a prize from our wonderful sponsors at Officeworks, a laptop for the overall winner, and I'll just ask Anna to tell us who that is.
And the winner of this year's amazing award is Sheree Kuan from MLC School for The Voice of the Whale.
Sheree's essay, chosen from such a strong field, was original and powerful.
I'm really excited and I'm really shocked because I've never really thought that it's going to be me, since I'm like the second youngest, I guess, like for 7 and 8. And yeah, I'm just really happy.
It's a wonderful result, a little bit intimidating for the university because every year the competition has got bigger.
3,500 students writing really interesting essays on what really matters from 200 schools. So hard to choose the winners and really quite inspirational to read. What's clear though is what really matters for most people isn't just themselves, but the society that they're growing up in.
I've been looking at the news, and recently I think South Korea's been wanting to do whaling, but protests have stopped them, and I think that's really good.
The Whitlam Institute sees the awards as a great opportunity for students.
It struck us as being very important to actually offer young people an opportunity to say what they think. Not to be tutored about it, but to actually just tell us what you think, what matters to you, what's important about it, and why. And so in that sense, it's for us part of a much broader objective in encouraging all of us, but particularly younger Australians, to be civically engaged, to understand that they, in a democracy, have a say, and that say is vitally important.
Entries for the 2013 What Matters Writing competition open soon, so start thinking. What matters to you?